without further ado, I'd like to introduce the one and only, the lovely and luminous Mrs. Doris Eaton Travis. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Yes, I want to tell you I saw you at the Minskoff a couple of days ago.
Yes.
May I say your age? Your supposed age. I don't quite believe it.
But it is. 106.
106. Well, who would believe it? But
I have to.
Now, you were in the Ziegfeld Follies. You were in 3 of them.
That's correct.
Okay. And 3 of the most successful ones, I'm told.
Oh yes, they were. They were
Yes.
the highlight, I would say, of the Ziegfeld Follies.
Yes. How did that come about? How did you get into the famous Ziegfeld Follies?
That's quite a story. My sister Pearl was in the Follies,
Yes.
and she was assisting Ned Wayburn with the chorus girls and getting them acquainted with or teaching them the chorus routines. And so one afternoon I asked my mother if I could go down with my sister Pearl and watch the rehearsal. So she said yes. So I went down with Pearl, and we were sitting there during a break in the rehearsal. And Mr. Wayburn came over. He says, "Who's this?" Pearl said, "It's my younger sister Doris." He said, "Well, she looks enough like my wife to be her twin sister. Can she dance?" Pearl said, "Yes, she can dance." He said, "Well, I'm looking for somebody to understudy Ann Pennington on the road. Could she do Ann Pennington's routines?" Pearl said, "Yes, she could, because I could, and I had tried some of them."
Yes.
He said, "All right." He says, "I'd like her to go on the road and understudy Ann Pennington." Pearl said, "Mr. Wayburn, she's only 14, and I don't think her mother would let her go on the road." He said, "You tell your mother that she goes on the road with Doris, and I'll pay all her expenses. I want Doris to go on the road and understudy Ann Pennington." So the next morning, I was at the rehearsal at 10 o'clock, and I was in the Follies.
Amazing. Wow. Now, I've seen clips of Ann Pennington doing her famous serpentine type dance. Is that one of the dances you did?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm told you also understudied for Marilyn Miller.
Oh yes, I did the second year.
Oh.
I was Marilyn Miller's understudy both the second and third year. In the third year, of course, my sister Mary was in the show and was the star dancer.
I see.
And I was made a principal at that time, so I had a little solo dance of my own. Third year, there was a director from England came over and was looking for a young lady to play the lead role in their movie. There was a new movie company they were just starting, and my agent got in contact with him, and we had an interview, and he immediately said, "Yes, she's just the type I want, so I'd like her to come to England and make this movie." So my mother and I went to England and we made the movie. It was a wonderful experience because for some of the exterior scenes, they took the company to Egypt, and we went through the tombs and saw the Sphinx, and we were there for about 2 weeks in Egypt. So it was just a wonderful experience. And then we came back to England, and I guess I got back to the United States somehow.
Wow, that sounds fantastic.
I have an ear for music, and I have an eye
You weren't in the number, you were in the show that introduced this song, which is called A Pretty Girl Is Like a Melody by Irving Berlin. It's come to really be associated the most with the Ziegfeld Follies. At the time, it was not considered a big blockbuster Ziegfeld number.
No,
It was a very, very subdued number.
Right. It was just a beautiful number. John Steele would sing the chorus, the verse rather, introduce the verse, and then the chorus. And then there were 5 segments, music from some opera, a famous piece that they had taken the chorus and put words to.
Yes.
Like, maybe I can remember one. When the stringed orchestra played that lovely tune I met a maid, and from the start she set my brain whirl. But alas, we parted soon, and now I long to hear that tune, for it reminds me of that certain girl. Well, there were 5 little things like that John Steele sang, and there was a girl impersonating each of those melodies.
Right.
Came on and paraded while he sang it. And then at the end, of course, the entire group of 5 girls and John sang the last chorus, A Pretty Girl Is Like a Melody. It was beautiful.
Did you do any other shows on Broadway besides the Ziegfeld Follies?
Yes, I did. After the Ziegfeld Follies, I did a show called No Other Girl, which was a musical comedy type of thing. And I was just, I went into some dramatic shows. I did Excess Package. I don't know if you recall that, with Eric Dressler and Miriam Hopkins.
Okay.
Yes. So I kind of got into the dramatic part of show business on Broadway for a while.
Now, I've seen a clip of you, a musical number from a film in 1929 called Street Girl, and it's a wonderful number.
Slow down, rhythm, you won my heart and feet. You've got a tempo sweet, neither the soft nor beat. Slow down, rhythm, I'm crazy about your tune. You were tricking it with a kick in it, they'll be kicking it too. Broken up tune. You're doing it, broken up tune, stop, go, broken up tune, keep doing it too. Broken up tune, you happen it, broken up tune, stop, go, broken up tune, I'm stepping it too. You have held me tight, you have held me right to my ear. I'll tell you now, I can't tell you how good it feels. Broken up tune, keep doing more, broken up tune, stop, go. Broken up tune, I'm rooting for you.
So after that, did you make a decision that show business was not your thing anymore?
It was a peculiar situation. I was working down Broadway, and a friend of mine, met my friend of mine, and she said, I've just come from the Arkham studio with my son, who's taking social dancing here, and she said, their tap dancing teacher is leaving, and so they need a replacement. And she said, why don't you go up and apply, because tap dancing is your specialty. So the next morning I went up to the Arthur Murray studio. I went to the reception desk and I said, may I see Arthur Murray, please? She said, do you have an appointment? I said, no, I don't. But I hadn't noticed that there was someone standing just a little ways from the desk. So this person came over and he said, you wanted to see Arthur Murray? I said, yes, I did. He said, well, I'm Arthur Murray. He said, what did you want? I said, well, I heard that your tap dancing teacher had left or was leaving and that you would need a replacement, and tap dancing is my specialty. He said, oh yes, I know about the Eatons and your capability in the dance field. He said, okay, that's fine with me. He said, you report for work tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock at the studio. And from then on, I was in Arthur Murray. But while I was there, he was always training his teachers. And I saw that and asked him if I could join the class and learn the ballroom dancing. So he said, sure, anytime that you want to. So between my classes, I would go into the ballroom dance class, and I learned ballroom dancing, which I just loved. And as time went on, one of the ballroom dance teachers used to come and dance with me a great deal. And he had always been asking Mr. Murray if he could open a branch studio someplace. Well, Mr. Murray refused him for a couple of years. But this year, he said, yes, I guess I'm ready to start with a branch. So Cy Andrews was my partner's name. So he gave Cy the privilege of opening the first Arthur Murray dance studio outside of New York in Detroit, Michigan.
Talent and timing will save the day, and boy, you've really made that work.
I've had a wonderful career, and I'm very grateful for it. And my sister Pearl was the first female dance director for a musical comedy in New York. But Mary was always starring on the show. She was in Kid Boots with Eddie Cantor.
Miss Mary Eaton, who played in Kid Boots with me, remember? She's sitting with Oscar Shaw. Make them both get up. Come on.
How did you get to Michigan from, well, you were in New York, and what happened in between?
I met a man.
Okay.
And he got interested in horse racing.
Oh, I see.
And was racing horses. And so we married, and he wanted to really be in the racehorse business. And Oklahoma was the place to be.
I see.
So that's how we
So you moved to Oklahoma?
moved,
Okay.
bought the ranch there, and moved to Oklahoma.
That's the ranch.
And raised quarter horse racing horses. And I changed my capacity at that time. I had to learn to be the bookkeeper for the whole ranch. So I took a course in bookkeeping, and I became the bookkeeper. That was that.
Talent upon talent upon talent. That's not one of my talents either, bookkeeping. Now, the New Amsterdam Theater is where they would have the Ziegfeld, the original Ziegfeld Follies. And there was a miracle that happened on Broadway. They renovated several theaters, including New Amsterdam, to the way it was. And then you were there as part of the celebration.
Yes. Well, the gentleman that bought the Amsterdam Theater, I forget his, what is it, Amador? I forget his name. But anyway, he bought the New Amsterdam Theater, as I understand it, and wanted to revive the aura of that theater.
Yes.
And so he wanted to put on shows comparable to what they used to have. Sure. That's my understanding.
You've lived a very wonderful, happy, full life. You've done exactly what you wanted to do. You seem very focused, and that might be the answer to my question, but can you give us your philosophy on life as far as living a rich, fulfilling life?
I had a wonderful older sister who, when the 7 children were growing up and were working in show business, were missing a great deal of education. And she realized that, and for some reason she and I had a very wonderful rapport. And she used to keep me reading and studying all the time. She went on the road with us several times. And so she just instilled in me the love of learning. But when I finally settled in Norman, Oklahoma, with my husband, in race business.
Oh, it's horses, horses, just a lot of horses, horses all the time.
One day I said to him, I said, gosh, he had 2 degrees from Cornell, my husband Paul did. And so I said, made the remark again one day, I said, I wish I had a college education. He said, listen, he says, I've been hearing you groan about not having a college education ever since I've known you. He says, now we're, 15 minutes from the university here. Either shut up or put up. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it. He says, we'll do it. So I went to the university the next day. Main subject was history. I love history. And it took me 11 years to get my diploma, and I ended with a 4.62 average for the university. And therefore I got a college education.
It seems that your whole life you've just been gifted with these wonderfully supportive people.
There's no question about it, and I have the same thing now with my nephew, Joe Eaton, and his lovely wife, Bev, and they've just stepped in these years when they saw that I would need a little help. They've just sort of stepped in, and we have a wonderful rapport, the 3 of us, and we have nice plans for the future. We've bought a house by the lake in Michigan, and we'll be living together, which is a great blessing to me.
Yes.
So my life is wonderful.
I want to just ask about your connection with the Broadway Cares, because every year you come to do the benefit that they have on Broadway, which is where I saw you a couple of days ago at the Mince Golf. And you stole the show. All you had to do was come out in your little sparkly divan or whatever that thing was and stand up and address the audience. They were floored.
Please welcome Broadway Cares' best friend and Broadway's living legend, our 106-year-old Ziegfeld girl, the eternal Gaga, Doris Eaton Travis.
About 11, 12 years ago, Scott Stevens called me, and they were doing something related to Ziegfeld, I think, and asked me if I would come and take part in this number.
So Broadway has a very tender spot in my heart, and it is so nice for the executives of Broadway Cares to have been inviting me these last 10 or 11 years to come back once more to New York and stand on a New York stage in front of a New York audience. That's wonderful. Nothing like it.
Gets me back on Broadway for a few minutes.
Sure.
And they've been so kind, and I'm just very grateful to them for the opportunity they've given me.
Yes, and they're very lucky to have you.
Well, that's very kind of you to say so.
Well, before we end, I just want to give you something that I brought for you. One sec. I brought you a few things, but I'll give you this one right now. Ta-da! For my next trip, I'll present the rose.
Well, thank you very much. It's lovely, it's beautiful, and I've so enjoyed the interview.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your interest.
Oh, yes, thank you very much for your time. And now we take you to our big finale, A Pretty Girl is Like a Melody.
Oh, yes.
like sunny weather goes with the month of May. I've studied girls and music, so I'm qualified to say a pretty girl is like a melody that haunts you night and day, just like the strain of a haunting refrain. She'll start upon a marathon and run around your brain. You can't escape. She's in your memory by morning, night, and noon. She will leave you and then come back again. A pretty girl is just like a pretty tune. You can't escape. She's in your memory by morning, night, and noon. She will leave you and then come back again. A pretty girl is just like a pretty
Handy, there's a minister handy, and the show would be handy if you let him make a fee. So don't you linger, here's a ring for your finger, isn't it a humdinger? Come along and let the wedding bells sing happy times for Mandy and me.